Hello, everyone. I am Misty Falls, and I'm so glad that you're here on the Misty Falls Forward channel. We have lots to accomplish, and I want to share with you kind of my vision of what this platform would be used for, and hopefully it would make a lot of sense for you in your life or in the life of someone you love. I have Despi here with me, a good friend who is willing to take on the role of interacting with questions and answers as we help the world understand what Misty Falls Forward is all about. Thanks for joining us, Despi.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to asking some questions that we have here because we do have a couple questions that we want to make sure that we cover in this intro video so that people know exactly who you are, who you're going to be talking to, and what value that you're going to be bringing to the community. So to start, tell me more about yourself as Misty Falls Forward.
Thank you for the question. Despi, I feel like in life we can get stuck. If you have ever been a perfectionist like me, it's like you don't want anyone to see what you've done until it's perfect, but you don't want to make mistakes getting it perfect. So then you end up not doing it at all or putting it off to someday, and then someday never comes. And then you're left feeling hollow inside because you know you had the potential to write a book or get that job or to date that girl or whatever, but you didn't follow through and do something gutsy because you didn't want to fall. And I'm learning in my mid 40s that falling is actually essential to learning to walk. If you watch a small toddler learning to walk, they fall over and over and over again. I think that's partly why we don't remember what it was like to fall over and over again, because we have assigned so much negative connotation to falling. We would be devastated. But what really happens is every time we fall, we learn another boundary of balance. So we say, oh, if I lean too far to the right, that's going to make me tip. So now I'm going to try to stay not so far right. Then we fall a little to the left and we're like, oh, it's got to be somewhere in the middle. So there's this beautiful balance we find when we fall. And the more we fall, the more we try. Or like even riding a bike, I would teach my kids how to fall, how to ditch a bike before I taught them how to ride the bike. Because it's like we're all going to fall at some point. Being on the ride is the easy part. But what you do when you fall, like you've got to get back up, you got to get back on a bike, and you got to find your balance again. And so my aim here is to share my conviction that all men specifically are capable of getting back up and getting back to work or getting back to that relationship or getting back to that vivacious human people have always known you as, or whatever the case may be. I want to be a safe place for people to fall. I got to be like the bubble wrap, but you're still going to get on the bike. And when you fall, it's not going to hurt so bad because I'm here to help you absorb that. Sometimes the shock of hitting the pavement or when we're learning to walk, falling on the carpet or whatever, it like stings us and it can be offensive. Like that was over the top. That was too much. I got to quit. I can't do it anymore. But when we're wrapped up in bubble wrap or when we're surrounded by people that believe in us, or like at the gym, maybe you have people cheering for you and they're like, you got it, you got it. Or, if you're running a race and your family shows up for you and they're cheering, even strangers cheering for you, you're like, okay, I can do it. Even though your brain's telling you, no, it's time to stop. This is too much. This is too hard. Someone's cheering for you. And so you keep going. So I'm here to help. And I say men in particular, because I feel like there's this group of our population who have by default learned that it's not appropriate to cry, or it's not manly to have strong feelings, or it might be embarrassing to know you need a therapist, but you don't want anyone else to know you need a therapist. And I'm not a therapist. You just need a friend to talk to. So I want to be that friend that you can talk to that will be there for you. But also, if it is something that is requiring intervention from a professional, like we can definitely point you in the right direction that way too. But a lot of times we just need somebody to listen or to relate or to feel like we are in a community where we belong and we're in a space that's safe and we can all fall together. And as we watch each other try to get back up, try to get momentum, try to move forward, we can cheer each other on and we can take notes of the progress, and we really can re-engage with life at a level that's like nearly intoxicating and inspiring. And it's like, I really am so much stronger than I thought I was. And that's because I wasn't afraid to fall forward.
Yeah, well, that's great. There's a couple of things that would love to dig deeper into from the things that you mentioned. And you did say, right, you intend to reach and speak to men, so I would love to for you to dive a little deeper into that in terms of what might be some of your primary beliefs, on men and their feelings and emotions and safety, things like that you may believe or that men might believe in themselves, or anything that has to do with men's emotions and feelings and safety in sharing. What is it about men that you want to dive deeper into? Because you're cutting off half of the population, right? But I think it's
And
for
I
good
do,
reason.
do think women are amazing. And if women can benefit from what I share, they're more than welcome to join us. But my intention around addressing specifically men is that I don't know if there's a lot of men out there that know how to be there for other men. So how can I be there for you in a way that empowers you to be the man you're capable of being, and also help you gain that confidence back that your friends, like your friends would be like, you got it, you can do it, like that. But can they let you cry? Is it safe to just let it out? Is it safe to share your fear? Is there a safe space for you to not know how things are going to turn out? Because I think our society has unintentionally created a lot of responsibility around a man or the man. Like, he's supposed to be stalwart, or he's always supposed to know how to have a plan or what to do. And he's going to always provide. He's always going to have the answers. He's going to be the protector, like a lot of things. And I say I am grateful for those things. But I do know when those things are challenged, or when those things feel overwhelming or impossible for a man, it starts to erode their self-confidence. It starts to erode their mental health. It starts to erode their relationships. It starts to erode their self-esteem, like all that kind of stuff. And then we lose the whole reason why you were designed to be here right now. There's you that has a flavor that nobody else has exactly like you. Nobody can replace you, but nobody's ever been you, and nobody else will ever be you. And we need you right now. What do you got? Like 50 more years? How many? Nobody here is going to have more than 100 years to figure out how to make a contribution to this planet. So while we're both here together, how can I help you reach those untouched emotions or those raw pain points that may have stemmed from childhood? And how can I help you see that it's okay to release this pain, because otherwise it's going to keep showing up in your life? And I think there's this thing about men sometimes trust women more because they do feel like a softer landing. They do feel safer. They do feel maybe less threatened, or if I show this man I'm weak, he could take advantage of me, or he could think I'm not as powerful as he is. Like there's just so many little pieces to it. But I just feel like around my life, it seems that I kind of naturally, magnetically align with a lot of men, and understanding where they are and helping them see where women are coming from in relationships. I think women, generally speaking, I know it's not always true, but they're better at reaching out to a friend when they need help, or they're better at reaching out to a therapist to get professional help. I feel like a lot of women are better at connecting on a deep, vulnerable level with their girlfriends or their sisters or coworkers. But of course, everybody's welcome. If I can make a difference, I want it to be for everyone. Currently, my goal is to help more men feel more empowered to live out the best version of them possible. And hopefully that'll benefit all the women in their lives, because I know I've been influenced by my dad, my brothers, my husband, and my son, so we're all impacted, even if we're not all being impacted at the same time by the same person. There's a trickle effect. That's my thought.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is a lot of great stuff they said there. Well, everything was great they said there, but there's a lot that we could unpack and dig deeper into those. And we'll probably get into that in later episodes, but that all makes sense. And I would agree, as a man, speaking from experience, those are some things that I have struggled with before, right? Being able to open up to my male friends or seek help. And all those things, I can see a version of myself. And so it definitely makes sense why you're wanting to help men and be that space in between having someone to listen to before it gets too serious, or that they actually need to seek medical help and stuff like that, right? Because you already said that you're not a therapist. So when we dive a little bit deeper into these sensitive topics, like, why do you think men are sometimes not very open to these sensitive topics? What is it about men, that sensitivity, that is hard to connect those dots?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I would say that we have to acknowledge that when we were born into a context we didn't have much of a say over. And it depended on where in the world you were born, and where in the world you've been raised, and what ideologies were adopted at that time. Because where I am, in the United States, there are high expectations for men. And also, men can be blamed for a lot of things. Just for being men, they can be the bad guy. And so I think that it hasn't necessarily been vindictive, and not strictly just from the feminine side, but from all sides. Like, what is a man and who is he capable of being? And is it safe for him to be all things or anything? Or is he going to be judged or criticized or blamed or accused? It can be immobilizing when you feel no matter which way you turn, somebody's going to be pointing fingers as to how you're doing it wrong, or you're being favored, or you're being this or that just because you're a man. And I'm not saying sometimes that isn't accurate. Sometimes those claims can be accurate. But what I like to consider is that it's not necessarily gender related. It can often be character related. And why I'm reaching out for men to have a soft space to be and to feel is because it still is surprisingly uncomfortable for people to be around a man when he's feeling less than powerful, if he's feeling less than sure, if he's feeling less than motivated. He can kind of be like the nucleus of his company, or the nucleus of his family, or he can be the nucleus of his friend group. And if he feels weak, then everybody feels weak. Or if he feels depressed, everyone doesn't know what to do, because we can all feel depressed, but he can't feel depressed because he's the anchor. He's the boat that we're all traveling on. He's the one that we're all relying on to get us through. And I know that there's definitely a lot of patriarchal like history for all of us. So I'm not saying we want to continue perpetuating this ridiculous burden that has been placed on men, and that women need to continue to act as if men should solve all their problems. But I am saying that where we are right now, there are those expectations in many friendships or relationships or other setups where that pressure is too great, and nobody knows how to help the man, right? That guy, because either he doesn't fit that mold, or he's going to make everybody nervous, and they don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to make anybody else feel the way they do. So they hide it. Men will pretend like everything's fine, or they develop an addiction to something that helps alleviate some of that pain, like gambling or drinking or other types of entertainment. Or they can check out and just doom scroll all the time because they can't be with the strong emotions that they're feeling, because they know it will make them look weak, or that's their perception, which I disagree with. That's why I'm here, so that we can deal with that stuff, and we can help you feel like there is a place where we can work through and explore and dissect, like, why am I feeling like a failure for the 100th time in 100 days? You know, like, what is at the core of this repeated emotion that continues to show up in this particular relationship, or in all my relationships? You know, it's like, let's look at what is consistently showing up in different ways, and what is it that we are missing that, if we addressed, would undo the very core of the trigger or the disconnection. I'm just really passionate about it, because I just feel like when we get here, you know, if you look at any healthy, well-fed 18-month-old, they want to explore. They want to be curious. They want to make eye contact. They want to play. You know, they want to engage with the world, you know. But as we get older, we can become more and more afraid, or more and more cautious. And so we build these walls around ourselves to keep us safe. And then all of a sudden we feel trapped, and we then may hate our lives, and we don't know why we're so miserable. And so that's my invitation, is like, hey, let's look at where we lost the essence of who you are and who you're being today, and let's see if we can reconnect you to your divine self that's only unique to you, right? Like a fingerprint. You're the only one just like you, and we need you right now. If we're going off of the law of evolution, like, you were designed, you were, of all the millions of possibilities, you as you are right now is what evolution said was needed. And I want you to feel that needed and that capable to do anything that this world is asking of you, because I believe you are.
Awesome. We could go further into those things, I think, in later episodes. Just to close out this intro, there's a lot of good things that you said there. But to tie it into beginning, you don't have a license, right? You're not a therapist. You're not necessarily traditionally trained on dealing with these types of things, but it seems like you have a really good intuition and feeling for this stuff. So I guess just to wrap this up and to bring it full circle, is why you? Why do you feel so inclined to do this type of work? Because I could just tell from the way that you talk about it so passionately that you not only are passionate about it, but you also have the attribute of that lived experience and to be able to talk on these things. So just share a little bit more about what makes you you different, and also what life experience made you so in tune with your intuition? Because that's what I'm feeling here. That's what I'm seeing, is that you are passionate about this because you are able to see someone's situation, are able to hear someone's story and be able to dissect it and figure out what is going on, or if not, ask the right questions to get down to the roots and be able to help that person, right? Because I have a feeling that you've helped a lot of people, and specifically a lot of men throughout your life, in terms of whether it's friends or family members that might be going through some things and they use you as a soundboard. And it sounds great that you want to expand this to the world. Just to reiterate the question, tell me more about the intuition, that connection that you seem to have with the world.
Yeah, thanks, Despi. I think there's a lot of us that would qualify ourselves as empaths. We feel a lot of what other people are feeling, and maybe we've had to learn to be that intuitive for, like, in our childhood, it was for safety reasons, like, is dad mad? Is mom mad? We want to know before something bad happens. We want to be able to predict it so we can prevent it or we can improve it. But also, some of us are just a lot more sensitive than others. And I would say I'm highly sensitive in all ways, sensitive to light, sensitive to taste. All my senses are ultra sensitive. And my sensitivity to other people's experience of being human, I feel it. I have a really strong recognition of when someone's experiencing something that I remember experiencing for myself or something similar, and how painful it was for me. So when somebody new moves into the neighborhood, it's like, I know how it feels to be the new kid on the block. And it's not like the cool new kids on the block where everyone's cheering and they've got, sold out seats. But it's like, I am invisible. I am alone on an island. Like, nobody sees me and I don't fit in. Like, I can feel that pain come back for me. And I automatically am like, hey, I know you feel alone right now, but this is really where you belong. And there are a lot of people here that could really benefit from becoming friends with you. So yeah, natural empath, and also working out my own mind, all the voices in our heads that are going a million miles a minute. Some of them, if not all of them, can be saying a lot of pretty nasty things. I think a lot of us are probably our own worst critic. And we are our own greatest enemy, or maybe our greatest barrier. We get in our own way of making excessive progress, really reaching for those heights that we have always felt capable of. And when someone else can be there, it's like, if you saw somebody like 18 years old being mean to somebody who's like 7 or 8 years old, you'd be like, hey, dude, calm down, lay off. This is just a kid. I get to be that person that gets to interrupt you from the voices in your head and be like, hey, you no need to call names, no need to point fingers. Let's just look at what we've got here and what we can do with it and run from there. So personally, I've done a lot of work. There's still plenty of work to do, but I figured since I'm never going to be perfect, I might as well fall forward with you, and we can make a lot of great memories along the way.
Amazing. Well, I think that's a great spot to wrap up. I guess the final words from you, just let us all know, what can we expect in terms of moving forward or falling forward? How often are we going to be getting on? Of course, you can talk very broadly, but give a little expectation of what's to come of this channel and what we're going to be doing moving forward.
Yeah, so for the recordings, I plan to have some meditations and some affirmations so we can interrupt the negative tracks that have been wired in there since we were like 5 years old. And we'll also do some Q&A. So eventually we'll be hosting podcasts and taking live callers. We'll also have some tutorials, an 8-week program where we learn the foundation of our identity and go through how we picked up baggage along the way of life, and then what we can do now that we are where we're at, and how we can get to where we want to go. And we'll also listen to our viewers. What more do they want? Where else are they feeling there's a gap between what they need and what's available? Professionally, of course, if you know you need a therapist or you believe you have conditions that require medication, like those things, definitely get those things, get that kind of help. But if there's a gap between feeling like you belong or feeling like you have someone to turn to, or you just need a soft place to land, that's where we come in. Yeah, so thank you so much, Despi. This has been super fun, and I'm way excited about being there for our viewers and new friends, and hopefully they'll feel welcome and know that this is where they belong and everyone's welcome, and it's gonna all be okay. We're all gonna fall forward and be better for it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Okay, see you soon.